manage the garden, even though it is 1.5 acres, section by section, just a little bit at a time. First year, we did that little square over there, and we just planted a few little chili plants. And the second year, we planted in here. So we call this the vegetable garden because it's right beside the house. I made a little video a few months ago to measure it and see what size it is. 23 feet this way, 7 meters. 16 feet or 5 meters, 5.8 meters.
This is the longest side of the garden. And the south side.
Ow! I got bitten by the rose.
49 feet.
15 meters or 49 feet. And the last sort of weird section.
10.5 meters or 34 feet. We've done a quick calculation and we've got about 63.8 square meters in the vegetable garden. 600
square feet, or there are 60 square meters thereabouts. So it's quite small. We've got 2 olives, a cherry, a nectarine, a lemon, a lime, passion fruit, and lots of brassicas, herbs. Then we grow tomatoes, aubergines, chilies and things throughout the summer.
Do a little bit of trimming here and there. I keep the paths open as far as I can. Don't try and do it all at once. That's how I do the paths, and then leave the sides a bit longer to build up the soil a bit more. Let different things grow, different flowers. And it's a bit wet today. It's not really the ideal day for strimming, but I've got to strim when I can. I've got to strim today. I'm working Monday to Thursday, so today is a trimming day. So I'm going to carry on down the ramp and then go along the mulberry terrace and along the second terrace and get a bit of it tidied up. Well, that's me out of petrol, so I'm going to go up to the barn and have a cup of tea with Mairead. I might need a bit more string as well. Never like to be without a spare bit of strimmer string.
It was raining a lot. These arum lilies have collapsed and I'm just going to get rid of them now and throw them in the new compost pile. This is all part of the process of maintaining and looking after our land, which is 1.5 acres. That was the only cardoon that wasn't tied up. I'll show you. So we strapped these up just before the rain. And it was supposed to be just a temporary measure. Oh, there he goes again. These are for Fatima.
Oh, thank you. Muito obrigado.
I think there's more. No. This is the section that we call the little terraced garden, and Dan created that just over a year ago. So we were into our third season of growing, and as you can see, it's coming along really, really well. Strawberries have finally got the right place and they're settling in. So it's all about moving things and finding what works. We're also not what you would call tidy gardeners. So I can't tidy this up because these Nigella seed heads haven't completely gone to seed and dried, and it's much too wet today. This Italian parsley has not developed its flowers and seeds yet, but when they do, they'll fall into this area along with the Nigella, which is all knocked down in the rain, and then they'll regrow for next year. So that means I don't have to actually plant anything. And the same too with the Californian poppies. If they're in the wrong place, I just yank them up out of the ground and throw them somewhere else and just let grow what I want. If it's in the way, I get rid of it. We're very happy to let things just go to seed and see what grows easily. For example, my zinnias are very far behind this year, probably because it's very cold. However, all my zinnias have self-seeded. These are self-seeded. And over here too. When Luke and Sarah came to visit, Sarah brought us a wonderful gift. She brought us comfrey, and she was really kind of disappointed when she saw that we already had comfrey. But the thing is, our comfrey is different. The comfrey that we've had in the garden is Bocking 14. It doesn't grow from seed, it's grown from root cuttings. And she brought us the spreading variety, which is absolutely brilliant in a larger garden, because the more it spreads, the more we get. Well, the birdseed sunflowers are really, really growing. And one more thing that is very important to do is take a little break from the garden. because things will continue to grow even when you're not there. So the other day, we went on a little trip. Well, we're off on a special mission today. We're off to Coimbra. A long time ago, when we were clearing out the house, we came across this fabulous piece of artwork. And we have been searching for a long time to find a suitable framer, restorer, because the restoration is beyond my capabilities. And although I've been to several framing shops, they didn't really have the capabilities or the desire to restore anything. But we were chatting to someone who happens to work in the Ministry of Arts and Culture, and she advised us that there was a shop in Coimbra that was famous for many years for this type of work, and that's where we're off to today, we think.
And we might even have lunch out.
We're here in one of my favourite places in Coimbra. It's in the cloisters. Dan hasn't been here before. I brought him here to show him this. But in and around the cloisters you'll find lots of huge big doors with these rather curious door knockers. I don't know if that's by intention or by accident. I know, awfully childish, but have a look. Isn't this fabulous? Now, visiting this chapel is free, but to come into the cloisters, you will have to pay a fee. Currently, it's €4 each. Wonderful use of a day in the rain. But if you want to see more, you'll have to come to Coimbra yourself. Another way that we try and manage the land is by picking one little job at a time. And today I am going to thin out Dan's sesame seeds and do a little bit of transplanting with those thinnings. Well, Dan's been working on a little project over the last couple of days, and we'll share that with you sometime in the future because he wants to finish it before he shows it to you. But he's dug out some irises.
Oh, not that easy getting these out with all the rocks here, but we're getting there. Some nice big roots here. There we go, look at that. There's certainly plenty of them. Where are we going to put these irises then?
They need to go somewhere temporary. Maybe, no. That's a comfy. I don't know, somewhere up here or... Ooh. Have you got many?
Yeah, loads.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can just go in a corner somewhere temporarily. I'm going to transplant them because they're going to go back at a future time. So today's plan is just to get them in temporarily, and then if we want to move them, we can. So here they are. That'll do there. I'm just going to put a stick in so that I remember where I planted them. I mean, I probably won't remember what I've planted here, but the stick will tell me that something is planted here. I have a few more to plant, but you can see it doesn't actually take that long to plant anything. So that's what I do. I'm trying to grow the garden without spending too much money, and just by propagating, dividing, moving things, borrowing, asking friends for bits and pieces. And if you remember way back when we first started the build, and we needed to create a space for all the rotten wood to be burnt, I dug out the dahlias. Wow. And to be honest, I planted them in 3 or 4 different places, but the first one is coming up and it's over here. So I've got all of these to plant as well. So I thought they might look nice just as you come down the steps. Just sort of here. You can see we've got a lot of wood pine bark here. You can see how thick it is. And that too really helps us maintain the garden. So everywhere there's wood chip, it's a place that we don't have to trim. Look at that. Bit of plastic. I'll get that home. So you can see how soft the soil is under the wood chip. So it's right next to a lilac tree. More plastic. that's it. I'm just going to throw all these in here. Yeah, it's overplanted. It doesn't really matter. Got hundreds of them. And they grow quite tightly together for the biggest impact. And that'll do me for today. I'm not very precious when it comes to planting things. I think, to be honest, the less you do, the better, the happier the plants are. Everything that's nursed struggles. Oh, missed one. Stick it somewhere else. And then the most important thing to do after you've done a little job is just to sit down and admire it and imagine what it's going to look like in the future. Today's offering, handful of beans, a few little courgettes, might be a cucumber as well, and a little bit of coriander that's almost over, one strawberry, which I'll eat before I go home.